You have questions? We have answers. Welcome to the Therapist Question Box with your host, Miss Lindsay Schiss.
Welcome back to another episode of the Therapist Question Box. We are here to answer your tough mental health questions, so ask away. Today we have Whitney Wakefield with us. Whitney, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me back.
It's fun to have you. It was a great episode last time and excited to hear from you this time. So today we're going to talk about personal responsibility. I think this was an excellent question, and it's really just very short. It's how do I take responsibility in healthy ways without over-owning things?
Wow, the insight into that question is incredible.
I agree. Tell me why. Your thoughts on it.
Because I think in life, to keep the peace, I think a lot of us tend to take too much responsibility for things because we feel like we're doing the right thing. We're just trying to make it better. But what we're actually doing is we're robbing other people of the opportunity to grow. And we're even hurting ourselves in the process by not allowing the discomfort to be present of maybe things not going how we think they should, and stepping into that discomfort, which in turn can limit our growth.
So I think you hit on it. Why do we do that? Because it's uncomfortable. We don't want them to feel uncomfortable. We don't want us to feel uncomfortable. So we over-own things. How do you think you know if you're over-owning something? I mean, when this person is saying, I don't want to over-own things, I think that means they have done that in the past. I take all the responsibility. How do you think you know if you're doing that?
I think you have to kind of go back to the basics of whose responsibility is whose. Where does your responsibility start and where does it end? And I think that kind of goes down to the basic idea of stewardship of so parents, they have an inalienable right to raise their children, right? And so that's their stewardship, that's their place. I think sometimes it's easy to think that, I think if you can understand your responsibilities and where it starts and where it ends, that can be super helpful. So parents, they have a responsibility to raise their children. It's not their responsibility to raise someone else's children or to step in and to tell another parent how to parent their kids. Can
we talk about that though?
Of course.
Because as a parent, I'm like, okay, I have a responsibility to raise my kids.
Yes.
But I'm not always responsible, or am I, for their behavior?
No.
Right? But that's tricky because I'm like, where do I end and where do they begin? Because depending on their age and what their show up, it's really hard to say, okay, that's my kid. And I've taught them right or wrong, good or bad, whatever. But they're not always showing up in ways that we go, oh yeah, that makes me feel proud, right? So how do we not take responsibility for something that isn't ours when, frankly, we've been raising these children? What are your thoughts on that?
I have this little phrase that I really like. It's from a form of therapy that kind of helps you as you're getting older, how to separate what's yours from your family that you grew up with and what's not yours anymore.
Okay.
And it's this phrase, whose blank is it?
Uh-huh.
And I really like it because I think it makes the idea of looking at responsibility a little bit easier because it's like, well, whose choice is it? Whose emotion is it? Whose life is it? Whose job is it? As a therapist, someone is not going to come in the therapy office and be like, this is what you should be doing with this person. Obviously, if I'm inviting someone into that space and being like, hey, I'm struggling with this, how can I be better at this as a therapist? I'm inviting someone into my space to help me. But if they're not invited in, then it's not their place to come in and take over.
That's so true. It is not their place to come in and take over. And I have to invite them in. Gosh, that is not easy to do.
No.
And it's hard to sometimes see those lines can get blurred.
Yes.
Right? What is mine? What is not mine? And I love that phrase because it helps me to get really clear. Okay, what is mine and what is not mine? And sometimes I got to put my ego on the shelf and recognize okay, that's not mine and it's okay. Right? So really, I love that. So how can we tell the difference between just taking ownership? Because I think that's really important, right? Taking ownership and then too much responsibility. There's some gray.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I always like to imagine a basket when I'm having a conversation with someone. And I think integrity is a really big part of this. and your ability to like be a truth seeker and search for truth. And I think if you're willing to search for truth, then you're going to be willing to take ownership over everything you need to, even if it's just a teeny bit true, then you're going to be willing to take ownership of it. But if you're also a truth seeker, you're going to look at it and be like, you know what? This isn't true. I don't have to own that because that's not my place, because I know whose blank it is.
I like that.
So like when I'm having a conversation with someone, I always kind of imagine a figurative basket in front of me. And if someone's sharing things with me that they feel like I accidentally did, or things that might not have gone how we had hoped, then I'll just have everything they say go into that basket. And then as they're talking, when they're done, I'll take everything out one by one and look at it. And I'll be like, you know what? There is a little bit of truth in this. Then I'll take all of that, because there is some truth to that, but I'm not going to take more than what is true. And then if there's something that comes up that's not true or not accurate, like someone that's like, well, you're a horrible person, right? I'm not going to own that, because I know deep down my intentions are good. I'm not going to purposely do something that's going to like hurt somebody else. So I don't have to own the fact that I'm a horrible, terrible person.
Because in fact, you're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when I look at conversations or situations with this imaginary basket in front of me, I think it makes it easier to kind of examine things one at a time. And you're kind of stepping back and being an observer at that point versus a participant of the emotion and the things that are
I would
happening.
imagine you have to do that after the fact. Like you can't do that in the moment, because it is there, the emotions are there. But if you can do it after the fact, then I can take a step back and I'm not in it, right?
Yeah. And I think sometimes some conversations, I think you can do it in the middle of it. Like if you're in a grounded enough space and you're looking at the whole situation as purely an observer and not jumping in with defensiveness or becoming a participant of the emotion that's showing up, then I think sometimes you can. But a lot of the times, if there's a bunch of emotion going on, it's a lot easier to do it later. And so if that's coming up, I think it's important to set a boundary of like, hey, you know what? I really want to hear the things that you're saying. I think they're important, but I'm not in a place right now where I can have this conversation and have it where it's going to be helpful for both of us. Can I come back to this?
I love that. And it's like taking a beat, just like, okay, I'm not here for it right now. And I want to give this the space and energy it needs, but I also need to be in a better place.
Yeah.
I mean, that is taking ownership right there.
Yeah.
Like I want to do this, but I'm going to honor what's going on for me. And until I'm in a better space, I'm not going to have this conversation, right? I love that. And I love that you said you can do it if you're in a grounded space. If I don't feel like I have to defend or deflect, and I can have a grounded conversation, I can see, okay, wait, this is mine and this is yours. And I will take this, but I'm not going to take that.
Yeah. And I kind of like to imagine these monkeys that we hold. And like these monkeys are the things that we are responsible for, our choices, our emotions, our anything that's ours. And sometimes when we're talking to someone, I wish I had an imaginary monkey to throw at you. Sometimes like someone will unintentionally or intentionally hand us their monkey to pick up. And we have to recognize when someone is choosing to give us their monkey and be willing to either put it back in their lap or just let it be and not pick it up. And I think it's extremely easy when we're a participant in the conversation and the emotion and not observing, listening, trying to stay grounded and connected to the person in front of us, to unintentionally pick it up because it's uncomfortable to let it be.
I love that. I love that idea. Like, I don't have to pick up that monkey. It's actually not mine.
Yeah.
And I can just let it sit there, but I have to be okay sitting in that discomfort.
Yes.
Right.
Like over the summer, I was on this big trip, and I remember there was a time when I was like walking in the room, and all of a sudden someone had a bunch of emotion that they were feeling, and I could feel it the second I walked into the room. I don't know if you've had situations like that where you walk in the room and you're like, whoa.
Oh yeah, I have for sure.
There is a lot of emotion going on right now, and I started noticing I was picking up their emotion. I started getting really anxious. I started getting really worried, and I remember looking at my friend being like, oh my gosh, I'm picking up their monkey. I need to give that emotion back because it's not mine to carry.
I love that. That's such a great reminder, because I think sometimes, especially as therapists, we're empaths.
Yes.
So we feel it, and that's what makes one of the things that makes a good therapist. I feel with you. I'm here with you in this story, right? But we don't need to pick up other people's emotions. That's not our job to do.
Yeah.
And we have to be okay letting them sit. So when you walk in that room and it's full of emotions, like just letting it be. Like it's not your job. You don't need to pick it up. It's not your job to solve it, to make everybody feel happy. It's like, it just is what it is.
Yeah. The only thing I can control is me.
Yeah.
I can try and make them happy, but a lot of times me trying isn't going to work anyways.
Totally.
And so why am I giving up my peace and my responsibility and my stewardship to try and fix someone else's stewardship and responsibility?
That's so good. It's not yours.
Exactly.
It's not yours. Leave
And
it
that's
there.
so hard and so uncomfortable to start leaning into that discomfort and that practice, because all of us have been trained one way or another to either fix things or to make it better, because I think unintentionally, or the families or the situations we grew up in or certain things, we learn these survival techniques to like keep the peace and to make things better. And that's something we've learned to do, is to keep the peace and to make things okay. And if someone's not feeling okay, then I have to fix it. I have to make it better. But if we can start to step into that discomfort and be willing to just own up to what's ours, then we're actually going to live a life that's more authentic to us. And we're going to have the freedom to make choices that we actually want to make.
I love that. And again, it's living a life that's more authentically ours, right? Sometimes I think when we think of responsibility and taking ownership, there's shame with it, right? So like, it's just easier to blame you.
Yeah.
It's easier to say you're the one at fault. So, understanding like, actually, when we take ownership, that's actually where joy comes. Like, like, because we're owning it. We're saying, I see where I end and you begin.
Yeah.
And it's not about me blaming you or I'm a terrible person. It's actually just living in reality.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
100%. I think that relationships are built on the fact that we're human. And because we're human, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to say something we don't mean. We're going to say something that comes across in a way that's not what we intended it to. But it's in those moments of disconnection that we can actually create the most beautiful connections, when we're willing to own up to the things that we've done. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, I don't think it matters. I think it more matters how willing are you to own up to what you did.
Yes. That's such a great reminder that moments of disconnection actually are what bring connection. But we have to be willing to have that hard conversation, to sit in the discomfort and not pick up the monkey and just say, you know what? I'm feeling something that felt off. Something happened there. I mean, that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of vulnerability to say, I'm going to have the hard conversation. And I don't know how it's going to land. I don't know how you're going to pick it up. Like, what are we going to do? But I have to honor myself and say like, oh, I'm feeling like things are off. And I want to I care enough to say the thing about the discomfort, about the disconnection, so it can breed connection later on.
Because it's a breeding ground for a stronger relationship. Because those ruptures and then the repair that comes later actually makes it stronger. Just like going to the gym. When you work out those muscles and it breaks things down, it builds them right back up. The same thing happens with our relationships and our connections. When we do something that breaks it down, it gives us an opportunity to build it back up and stronger. But the coolest part is, it not only does it build the relationship with the person across from you, but it also builds a relationship with yourself.
Yes. And that is so important. I think sometimes we forget about that. Like, it's all about other people. It's all about other people. But the truth is, we have got to be in relationship with self and honoring what is going on for us and protecting our peace and saying, you know what? I actually am aware enough of my experience and my feelings, and I'm going to honor that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to step into a courageous conversation, and it might be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm actually here for it because I want to be in relationship with myself. I want to know that I'm here for me. I'm not going to sell myself out. I used to say that all the time, that I would sell myself out all the time in an effort to make sure everybody else was comfortable.
Yeah.
My discomfort meant far less than anybody else's discomfort. I put their discomfort way higher up on the pedestal, and mine was way lower because I didn't want to make it uncomfortable. So that was my way of trying to manage things, right? And looking at it now, knowing, I'm like, oh, that was just control. I'm trying to control things, right? I'm a big old people pleaser. Now I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, people pleasing is just controlling.
Yeah.
And we're trying to just manage discomfort.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh no, I won't sell myself out anymore. That doesn't work for me. I can honor myself and I can still stay in relationship. Those two things can coexist together.
Yeah. Because I know I always feel so much better when I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I accidentally just did something that I didn't mean to do. And I go to that person, I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry. And I try and make it right to the best of my ability,
Totally.
I instantly feel better. And my perception of who I am increases.
Yes.
Because all of us have innate worth. It doesn't matter who we are, what we've done, where we've gone. But our perception of ourselves can change depending on if we're willing to take responsibility or not. And every time we're willing to step into that discomfort to try and build relationships or to try and own up to what we've done, to try and fix things that have happened in our life, then actually our perception of ourselves improves. And none of us deep down are truly ever broken, but the world that we live in causes us to think that we are. And when we choose to not take responsibility, that can unintentionally reinforce that belief that we're not good enough or whatever the belief is that's there. But when we take ownership, it actually sends a signal to our body that we are.
Yes.
And that we have worth because we're able to recognize what's ours, what's not. And then if it is ours, that we're willing to own up to that. And that's what makes us human and beautiful and incredible.
And also it develops this sense of trust.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got my own back.
Yeah.
Like I actually know who I am and I know what I own and what I don't. And when I can trust myself, then I'm not looking for everybody else to be, hey, am I okay? Hey, is this okay? Like, validate me. Like, actually, no, I got my own back. Like, I can honor myself. That's huge. I think when we learn that, it's like, oh, I'm okay because I'm okay with me. Right? And that takes some courage. It does. It takes courage, but it's so important. So, Whitney, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you feel like is important that we hit on when it comes to personal responsibility?
I think that it's important to, when you're trying to take ownership for something, to allow grace to be there for yourself and for the other person. Because we're all human. We all have those human moments. And so when a human moment presents itself, it's a beautiful opportunity to be like, you know what? Yep. Acknowledge that you're human. Acknowledge that those mistakes happen. Give yourself some grace. And then that'll ultimately allow you to step into that discomfort and not go the shame route because you're willing to give yourself some self-compassion. And the other person might not have handled it completely great either, but you allowing yourself to have self-compassion will allow you to see the other person with compassion too, and allow you to bridge that gap no matter what happened.
Such a great reminder. Not always, again, easy to do.
No.
Self-compassion, it's so much easier to have compassion on others than it is
100%.
to have on ourselves. But when we can do that, it actually provides grace. Like, you know what? Yeah, I misstepped. I picked up a monkey when I shouldn't have.
Yep.
I owned a piece in that basket that actually wasn't mine, or I blamed, or I did, you know. And when another person does that, gosh, we can give them grace as well. We can give ourselves and we can give them grace. And again, that deepens relationship with ourselves and with them.
Yeah. And I also want to normalize that we're all going to pick up monkeys from time to time that aren't ours.
100%.
And I think the more that we're aware of, oh, that was a monkey I just picked up, the easier it will be to not do it next time. And so all of those moments where we do something that we didn't want to, or we're like, crap, I did that again, then it's an opportunity to be like, oh, that's good information for me. What caused me to do that?
Yes.
And how can I work on that so next time I'm only going to take responsibility for mine to allow me to grow, but also not to rob the person in front of me of their growth either.
Love that. And again, we have to do some introspection, some personal work around that, and it takes time and effort, but it's worth it.
100%.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Whitney, for being here. I think it's such a great reminder that responsibility isn't about perfection. It's about presence.
Yeah.
Right? When I can say, you know what, I'm here and you matter and I matter. And both of those things can be true, right? When we can sometimes say, this one's on me. And also sometimes we can say, I'm capable of doing better, right? Or we can look at another person and say, you know what, that one isn't mine. I'm not picking up that monkey. And I know what it is, and that's okay, right? Honoring that is so important. So thank you so much. Such an important conversation, and one I think can be useful for everybody. If this podcast was helpful for you, please share it and like and subscribe. It helps us to share this great information to more people. Thank you for being here and for listening. Until next time, take care.